Because I'm pretty sure you can engage on this topic as well, Shantae.
Yes. Come on, girl.
I know, right? Join the party.
All right. Welcome to the Mr. Here You Got Game and Friends podcast. Thank you for tuning in. As if this is your first time tuning in, I want you to like and subscribe. And if you've been here before, thank you for tuning in and thank you for coming back. Today we got an interesting topic. Why, or better yet, how to become a black man's wife. And we got a special guest, Latasha, all the way from Missouri. Tasha, tell the folks something about yourself with all them arcade games in the back. We're going to have game night over your place, girl.
Anytime you want to travel, you're welcome. But as you said, I'm here in Missouri. I've been here about 3 years. I am actually an Atlanta native, born and raised in Atlanta. I am a wife of the past 14 years. We have 4 beautiful kids. They're between the ages of 13 and 24. And really consider myself a boss in every sense of the word, whether it's climbing the corporate ladder at work or supporting my husband in our journey through entrepreneurship as we believe in multiple streams of income. So that's a little bit about me.
Nice.
Okay, all right. Coming up next, we got Dana. I know Dana since 2004, I think, 2003, 2004. I really didn't care for Dana when I first met her, but Dana,
A lot of people don't.
Dana, before you get this little introduction, I got a surprise for you, okay?
Okay.
We're going to see if you talked everything into existence right now, being that you're married right now. As a woman,
Okay.
hey, this guy is showing interest in me. So what can I do to show him that I'm interested in him?
Oh, my
besides
God.
answering the phone and maybe going out to eat? Because women go out to eat with guys that they're not even interested in, you know what I mean? Just to get a meal. So, what is it that you do?
If we're planning on going, if it's a possibility that we can go beyond dating, courtship, and possibly marriage, I think I have to prove to you that I can be the woman that you need just as much as you have to prove to me that you're going to be the man that I need. And that, that can be as far as supporting you, that can be as far as, and I'm not talking about financially, I'm just like.
Yeah, because we know from a woman's perspective, what's yours is mine and what's hers is hers.
Supporting you, adding to your happiness because, I feel there's a certain thing a man should feel appreciated and he should feel a level of respect. And I feel like I should come along and bring that respect and bring a certain level of love. If we're just courting, I don't think I should give all of my love to you because we haven't got there yet. We can't make married decisions and we're not married. So, I think mostly with men, it's more mental. So, as a woman, I have to add that, calling him and see how his day was instead of just expecting him to always do that for me. Sending him that text.
Oh, that's Dana right there. Dana didn't expect that impromptu video, and I want to send a shout out to her mother because her mother, Sheila, you done a fantastic job, Sheila. Thank you so much, Sheila. Sheila called me too. It's a topic she want me to do, but I'm trying to get her on the page podcast to do the topic. Thank you, Sheila.
Oh my God.
There you go, Dana. Let's tell the folks something about yourself, Dana.
Oh my God. Well, I am a wife of almost 6 years. I have 2 bonus babies. They're teenagers, 17 and 15, and definitely multifaceted with businesses. I have 3 different businesses, and I'm actually living up to what I said. I'm actually proud of myself.
And that's why I played that clip, because you talked it into existence. And I can truly commend you for that. You talked it into existence. Let's start off with Latasha. Latasha, you have gave me the most interesting post that I could put up as far as explain to everybody else pretty much what you said when your etc. didn't teach you how to become a wife.
Yeah, when I think about the great and amazing job they did in raising me, while they taught me a lot about being a woman of integrity and character, they taught me how to be a mother. They taught me how to be strong and independent and all of those great things. What I didn't get from them was how to truly translate that into being a wife and being what a husband would need. And so sometimes in all of our quest to be independent, to be strong, we forget how to depend in the right way on the right person, obviously, because you don't want to be depending on someone that's not the right quality for you. But I
Mm-hmm.
just always tell people, and I tell my mom this all the time, I love her dearly, no shade or anything at what she did, because obviously it got me to where I am in life today and I wouldn't trade it. But there were just so many things when I think about my first marriage, which was very short lived, only 2.5 years,
But keep in
as I
mind now,
began to
keep in mind,
examine
your
what
first
happened.
marriage is always a trial and error.
A
So,
lesson.
correct, correct.
But it
It's a
doesn't
lesson.
have to be, though. I think
Everybody
there was some
doesn't
lessons
know.
that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody
And there
doesn't
were
know
things
what
that
to
I was
do and
like,
what
well, why
not to
didn't
do
you
when you're
tell me
married.
that?
But go
Yeah.
ahead, and I'm sorry, I mean to interrupt you, but your first
Oh
marriage,
no,
go ahead,
you're
go back to
fine.
that,
Like I
okay?
said, it was just one of those things that when I began to share that journey with my mom and what I was going through, and she started explaining things to me, I was like, this would have been good for me to know before I entered into marriage the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so let me help me understand this. And you learned how to be a wife, how to be a man's piece. What do you mean by that? At what point in your life did you say, okay, I got to do something different here? Or what epitome did you have that just made you come to a realization that I'm doing something wrong? Or
So
was he doing
yeah,
something wrong or you doing something wrong?
it was. I mean, I'm sure we both had fault, but I'll take my ownership in the situation. So my current husband and I, we have a blended family, and as we were going through that journey, we both came into our relationship with kids. So a super blended family, and we were in a situation where I was really like just about to break, and I felt some things should be handled differently. Always you have the perfect answer, and you can't force the other person to do it your way. And I went to someone who was a minister at my church, and I was having a conversation with her, and she just kind of paused and said, do you trust him? And I was like, of course, I trust him. Do you really trust him? Yeah. She's like, well, if you
Mm.
trust him, why are you not trusting him to handle this situation? And then
Wow.
she just began to break it down. And she said, think about it. He's got to go to work and deal with everything he's dealing with to provide for you and the kids. Mind you, at the time, I was working a seasonal job. So there were months at a time that I didn't work, and he was working 2 jobs. She was like, then he's getting these calls from his daughter's mom. He's dealing with that. And then he's got to walk through the door and get it from you, too.
So you had to learn
Mm.
it pretty much in so many words. You had to check your attitude.
Exactly. And it was like, whoa, when she said it that way, I was like, oh, I hadn't considered it that way, that he's getting it on every side. He doesn't expect to walk through the door and get it from me too. And then we don't understand why sometimes our men shut down and they won't share with us. But if you're just coming at them and not really listening to them and talking to them, they're going to shut down. That's just typical of
Yeah.
how a man is going to respond to that.
Your man's going to
Mm.
shut down. A man doesn't want a woman that's going to nag all the time or just yell. We deal with so much at work. We deal with so much at society. We have to perform twice as hard as our counterparts. And so, yeah, when we get home, we just really have to shut down and take a moment to digress. Now, Dana,
I think
how you doing, Dana?
I'm good. I want to piggyback off of what you guys said. I think
Okay.
that what I don't want women to think is that when they have certain concerns, um, they shouldn't be addressed. Be, in order to keep peace. I think that as a couple, you have to learn each other's boundaries. And like I've heard some men that say, just give me 30 minutes when I walk in the door. Give me 30 minutes to, unwind and that type of thing, and then come at me. Don't come at me as soon as I walk in.
Correct, correct, correct,
And
correct.
I think that couples have to know their boundaries and set their boundaries. So it has to be maybe a situation like anytime I want to talk deep with my husband, I'd be like, "Can I be transparent with you?" So that he knows that it's not this ain't a game, or I'm not coming at. I don't want you to think that I'm coming at you a particular way, because that's not my intent. But I'm in a space where I want to unwind and talk to you about something that's concerning me. So I think all couples have to have their own boundaries and their own way of communicating how they feel to each other.
All right, all right. Now, boundaries. Now, I would say this: how to become a black man's wife is can be challenging. I can actually say that because
Mhm.
you have to become his piece for one.
Yeah.
As a woman, you got to define who you are as a woman. You have to be financially responsible as well as a man being financially responsible, meaning that if he gives you a credit card, he doesn't want you to go out there and just run up the credit card or run up your credit card. So being that. So
Unless he
you
got it like that.
even if he has it like that, isn't endless. Do you agree with that?
Some men, you got some men that are paymasters now. So don't speak for all men.
Are you saying paymaster as far as credit or paymaster as far as cash? There's a
As
difference.
in, because
There's
you
a
have
difference.
some
There's a
that
difference.
it doesn't bother them
You're
because
right.
they have expoundable income, should I say. Then you have some where every 50 cent counts.
Counts. Yep. But again, it
So,
goes back to something you already said. Those are boundaries that we got to know up front. We got to know where we
yes.
stand up front.
Yeah.
Those are conversations we have to have. And I think even when you're speaking about those boundaries, it's just one of those things to where you can't tell a man what his boundaries are, just like he can't tell you what your boundaries are.
Yes.
We
Oh,
have to
yeah.
be able to have a
I
respectful
beg the
conversation
difference. There
where
need
we're
to be
hearing each
financial
other.
boundaries. I beg the difference. It
There
needs to
are
be
financial
financial
boundaries.
boundaries.
I'm subject to them all the time. I have a shopping habit, so I
Okay.
understand.
Okay, and that's what I meant financial boundaries. Another thing, I think women, I'm not being biased. There's some guys that like to cook as well, but I think a woman has to be able to bring something to the table, at least be able to make a sandwich. Get in the kitchen, learn how to cook, do something. Tasha, are you the cooker or is your husband the cooker?
We both cook. He's a better cook than I am, but I do the majority of the cooking.
Dana?
Okay, so we got a lot of plans in the greenhouse. Okay, so how we do it is whoever get home first, that's who cooks. So if Mike get home before I do, then he'll cook. If I'm gone already, he'll cook. Or if I'm off, and like if I'm like I have some times where I don't go to work until later on, so I'll cook before I leave. So we kind of team off. So we don't have like a designated person who cooks.
Yeah, I don't think we have a designated person either. Just to your point, that's how it happens. I'm home more, so I do most of the cooking. He's a vegetarian, so I can say early on in our marriage, I wasn't really familiar or comfortable with cooking a lot of foods without meat. So he did more
Yeah.
cooking. We did some things together. Once I started learning a few things, I said, "Oh, I got it."
When it comes to conflict, now some women are just quick to fly off the handle. You know what I mean? So when it comes to conflict, how do you handle conflict in your household?
Oof. In the
That's a
beginning, it
tough
wasn't
one.
good.
I was gonna say, yeah, I used to be a firecracker. What came up, came out. But
So
Yeah. Same here.
so you had to check your attitudes. In other words, but how do you handle
Oh, of
conflict now?
course.
Is there anybody in particular that has a final say so, or do you come to an
Oof.
agreement with each other? You sit down and you talk it out and say, okay, this is what we're going to do.
No, we have learned to not address it right then. Like take a little breather and then come back to it. And then what we learned in counseling is to say, okay, I need you to give me till tonight or give me till tomorrow or and then there's other times where we can't hold that shit in and we just talk about it or argue or whatever whatever happens at that moment. But we have learned to not be explosive. So we know how to reel it back in. Sometimes it may be Mike may bust out and say something funny to kind of like, smooth it over, or I
Yes.
just, we've learned to not just, go ham.
yeah,
Tasha? Tasha, have you had
I think
counseling?
yes, I have. And I think a couple of things that I have to think about because I'm a very emotional person.
Mm.
So, one of the things we have to constantly remind ourselves when we're in the midst of conflicts is facts over feelings. Multiple times you're making a decision or you're trying to make a decision, but your feelings and emotions are in the way. And it's challenging to make a logical decision when you're driven by your emotion. So I
Hmm.
think, you have to your point, you have to kind of take that moment, say, take a step back. Let's really think this through. I'm the type of person that I want resolution right then. And I will push the envelope until I can get resolution. And my husband is just the opposite. Walter will be like, nope, I'm not talking about it right now. And we're not going to go down that path. And so there was a lot of friction with that earlier on. And we still have those days. But I think because there's a different level of trust and the level of respect is there, I know when I've pushed too far and I back and say, okay, probably going a little too far. Let's wait till tomorrow. And sometimes, while it's not about going to bed mad, because I don't do that, we've come to the point where life is too short. We're not going to be mad about it. We're going to sleep good
Yeah.
and do those things, but we'll get up and address it another day.
So do you
Now,
recommend counseling?
oh yeah,
100%.
all the time.
Like,
Like
I mean,
don't just go before marriage. You need to go after marriage. You need to go 10 years into marriage because y'all evolve and you change. And sometimes the other person may not know how to adapt to the new person that you've evolved to.
and it's important that you recognize you may not be the same person that they married. So
Yeah.
sometimes as you begin to evolve and change, they're like, well, wait a minute, this isn't quite what I signed up for.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that we often miss is too many times we don't deal with the things from our past and they resurface in your current
You're
relationships.
right. You're right. You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. A lot of times people don't put the past to rest, or they don't
Mhm.
get over a situation that they incurred in the past. And I agree 100%. I haven't had counseling yet. Came close to counseling, but I haven't had
I
counseling
got a
yet.
good one for you.
You got a good one for me? I
And
think
and all of the guys, I've only had one guy that didn't like him, but that was because he told him the truth, and he admitted that. But all the guys that I seen with their wives, they all like him.
for some odd reason, counseling is a phobia when it comes to the Black community,
Oh yeah,
especially marriage counseling. Everybody has internal issues. Everybody has endured some type of hurt or pain in the past that they're carrying into the new relationship. Or some people just do not know how to date or be a mate to their spouse.
yeah.
So there's a lot of things that could be learned. I'm not saying I'm not going to counseling. I may go to counseling. It all depends on how much.
You will.
It all
It's
depends on how
coming.
much the ticket is going to be. That-
Now I can tell you one thing I
yes.
learned from counseling, and it really works when it goes back to the arguing part, is that I get better results in my marriage and with my husband when I approach Mike a particular way. If I come at him emotionally, everything I said, it's
Yes.
like go through one ear, like, but if I be like, listen, okay, this is how I feel, I need you to hear me, don't listen to, defend, just try to understand. And then everything just, oh, I'm like, oh my God. Like
That's a
You're right.
all I had to do was just calm down.
that's a
And a lot of
that's
times, yeah, for some reason, when you get too excited, the man, he just shuts down. And I think I've learned too, like with Walter, keep it simple, keep it concise. He
Yeah.
doesn't want the paragraph version of what's going on. Give him the headline, one or two main points, and he can follow you.
now. What are some of the things you do? Because in a relationship, it's a two-way street. So when it
Yeah.
comes to your mate spoiling you, usually on dates, the men the majority of the time are doing all the spending, doing all of the planning, and are reaping pretty much. The ladies are reaping all the benefits. But at some particular point, the man likes to be spoiled. He likes to be taken out to dinner. He likes to come home and say, "Wow, you got me a shirt. Oh, that's a nice hat you got me. I love those shoes." Um, Give me an example of some of the things you do to keep your man happy.
I
Tasha, you
think
want
it's
to?
about I think it's about catering to his needs. You have to know what he likes. You have to know what puts a smile on his face, and those things are simple. My husband likes video games, so I can come home with a game card, and that means
Clearly, we
something to
can
him.
see that right behind you.
Yes,
Okay.
this is his man cave. He loves to play on the games, but I mean, he likes Starbucks, so it could just be the fact of we went to Starbucks and I saw his balance on his gift card was low, and you pick up another card for him. Like little
Mhm.
things like that matter to
Reciprocating.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor real quick. I'm going to go ahead and do the.
Hello, this is attorney Robert James of Robert James Trial Attorneys. If you or a loved one are injured in a car crash, there are 4 things that I want you to do. Number 1, call the police. It may sound really simple, but listen guys, police, they do investigations and they document the scene and they determine, most importantly, who is at fault. If you do not call the police, you're going to find yourself in a he said, she said, and that's not where you want to be. Number 2, do not talk to the other driver's insurance company. I repeat, do not talk to the other driver's insurance company. They will call you and ask for a statement. They will be very nice. They may even admit fault. but what they're really trying to do is figure out how not to pay you. Number 3, go to the doctor right away. Doctors don't just treat, but they document injuries. And if your injuries are not documented, you will not get paid. Number 4, call our firm, Robert James Trial Attorneys, at 404-891-0977. Or you can reach us online at attorneyrobertjames.com. Remember, in times of trouble, we stand with you. Robert James Trial Attorneys.
All right, all right. I know Robert James since about 2004 also, and he actually met his wife at one of the live debates I used to host. So big
Wow.
shout out to Robert James and his wife. But what advice do you give women that's looking to get married? I mean, and you're dating. So do you give wife material when you're dating after a certain amount of time, or do you not get wife material when you're dating?
No, not at all.
Why do you say that?
Because most guys that get the wife material when they're not married, a lot of them don't marry you.
What about after a certain amount of time? A year, or 2 years?
we-
I mean,
Because
well, when he gets to
we
that
would-
point, we need to be progressing towards marriage. We need
Listen.
you need to propose. We need to be planning that date. It can't just be a ring and a hope that we're going to get married someday. You've got to be moving down that path.
but a lot
Because
of
to her
times,
point, if I give you all of that up front, what's the point of you marrying?
a lot
You've
of
already
times,
got it.
a lot of times, people don't change. A lot of times, the
Listen.
woman is quick to say, "You
Michael,
married me. Hey, I was like this when you married me. So why am I going to
my,
change?"
my husband just put in the chat. Now this is true. Now I had, I hope my mama not. Well, it don't
Come
matter.
on, Sheila.
Okay, so at this point, like I had already given my virginity away. So I
Okay.
was like, it's certain things that a dude not gonna get. Like he not gonna get fried chicken. Like my husband did not get fried chicken until we got married.
What?
And he just put it in the chat. Listen, it was certain things that I didn't want to do because
I can't
like,
understand
we're just
why though.
dating.
Why? Because a man pretty much you're auditioning, so you have to let them know what they're getting into. You understand what I'm saying? Like
You
like
better
say
go to Popeyes.
no. I mean, a
She said
man
no fried chicken. She was very clear about
a
that.
man has to give
I was
himself
very
up
clear.
100% to show you that he's marriage worthy. If he
No.
proposes to you, you need to know off the rip that he's going to be financially stable, that he's going to be a leader, and that he's going to support. Am I correct?
You are
Yes.
right. I guess the question
But
I
my
had, what
chicken
quality
don't
did I
warrant
have to
that.
show you before you get married to know I'm marriage material? If you can see I've got a stable job, a stable income, you can see I'm not borrowing money from you every week to pay my bills. Things aren't disconnected when you come over. I keep a clean house. I can cook a meal. I know how to present myself when we go out. So if I can show you
Well, you
those
did
things,
everything.
what else do I have to
You
show
did
you?
everything. Am I right? You
But that's
did
what I'm saying.
everything.
Like you can see that just
But
in me being who I am. I
what
don't have
did
to
you
do anything
change?
extra to
What
see
did you
that.
change after you got married?
I mean, well, there were definitely some things I changed. I
Swinging
think
off the
about giving
chandeliers
him.
or something?
I mean, yeah, that kind
I'm
of stuff
just
too.
teasing.
But
I'm just teasing.
I
just
think
teasing.
about giving him that ultimate kind of decision. When you were talking earlier about who gets the final say, so really
Yes.
making him the head of my household. When I think about, like I said, I had kids before him and I
Yes.
got married. I can't put you before my kids in your rightful place as the head of my household if we're not married. But once we're married and we
Ooh.
made that covenant, you come first now. So that was different. And I know a lot of women have a challenge with that, but I don't believe I'm going to marry someone that I don't trust with my life and my kids' life.
Yes.
Now, what
But
do
you
mean?
weren't first before we got married.
No, what do you mean by first? Give some examples. It's certain times you say, hold on, I can't go out on this date because I got to do this with the kids, or I can't do this because I got to do this with the kids, or did the kids get the big piece of the chicken? What type of changes?
I mean, a lot of changes. So you think about when I'm single, I can make whatever decisions I want to make for me and my kids without even having a conversation with him. Whereas once we are entering into a different level of covenant and an agreement for marriage, now if I want to change my kids' school, if I think I want to go out of town, whatever those things are, now we're having a conversation and he has a say so in the final decision because the decision is going to impact him. My oldest son had ADHD. So we made a decision that I felt he needed to change schools. The environment wasn't good for him. Well, guess what? That was going to mean my husband was going to have to pick him up from school because I couldn't get to him every day. So I can't just go and make that decision. We had to have a conversation. Obviously, we made the right decision for
Okay.
our child, but yeah, he's just got to
Now,
be
see,
first in that regard.
ours was different because I was the one who didn't have children, and my husband had two children, and so there was a certain level of boundaries on his side as well, because I want to make sure this is cool before I even introduce you to my kids. So there is a certain level of, you have dating, and then you have very serious on your way, probably on your way to engagement, and then marriage.
So, Tasha, did your husband have children prior to you marrying him?
Absolutely. And his daughter, our daughter, because she's my daughter too at this point,
Mm-hmm.
but she was living with him when we started dating. So, that let me know right there that that was a very serious and important part of his life. He took being a father seriously. So it was the same for him. There were, to your point, Dana, there were things where, hey, you can't just walk into my life because I have another part of my life and you've got to be able to accept the whole me, which includes the kids as well.
That's a whole new conversation right there. Blended families, and Dana has a
Ooh,
book on blended families. Am
Ooh,
I right,
all
Dana?
I can
What's the
tell
top?
you is I can write a book about that one.
yeah, you can.
Okay,
We
hold
have.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on. I do want to test that. I want each one of you two to give me a snippet of recommendations on blended family or something that you encountered that you had to learn how to, overcome. Who's first?
Ooh, I'm gonna pray about that. I'm gonna be honest, and hopefully this doesn't offend anyone. I would tell anyone, if you can avoid a blended family, do so. Try to do it the right way from the beginning. We recognize that's not how life is. So if you end up in that situation, communication and respect become a really important factor. And you've both got to be very clear with what you will and will not allow. And the same way I said, as a woman, you have to be your man's peace. Don't let anyone outside of your household steal the peace of your household.
Yes,
So you got to be
Lord
united in that.
Jesus.
And what do you mean by that, Tasha?
Ooh.
Elaborate.
I mean, a baby mom, a baby dad, they're going to do things that create drama. Don't let it create like what we can't do is me and you can't now be having an argument because of somebody that don't even have to lay their head here at night. They don't pay a single bill in my house. They don't do anything to support my household. So they can't have that level of influence over my house.
And this is part of being a black man's wife, and it is because this comes to play when you get into a relationship or when you get into a marriage with somebody that has kids prior to marriage. Dana, you ready for your example?
I think my biggest piece of advice is, if you get into it, love the children like they're your own. I believe that separates. I think it brings a certain level of peace over your home when you can treat the children like they're yours versus my step and mine. I think you should be able to. What I didn't take into consideration, I'll say this. What I didn't take into consideration is, even though I have that goal, everybody around me may not want or welcome that goal. And so I think that was the hardest part for us, because I was like, man, like, let me get to know these kids. And, I don't want them to feel like they are outside of our union. So when we got together, like, we had family date nights when we had them, because we have joint physical custody. So the weeks that we had them, we had date nights. And then the weeks where it was just me and him, we had date nights. And so I always wanted them to feel included in our union. I didn't want them to feel like, that they were outside of anything, that we are all family. And so what I didn't take into consideration is, everybody don't want that. So you may have a co-parent that don't want that, or you may even have a kid that don't really want to embrace that. So you don't really know what you're going to get until you get it. But
Absolutely.
I wouldn't tell people to not do it. It's hard. It's definitely hard, because you have all these different perspectives, and you're trying to mend all these different perspectives into one for everybody to be happy. Me, I'm not about pleasing co-parents. If you unhappy, you outside the house, that's your problem. when it comes to our house, I want the kids happy. I want my husband happy. I want to be happy. So we all have to find out what that's going to take. And it may take family meetings. It may take some tears. It may take some hurt feelings. It may take it takes growing pains, because each individual person has to open up and embrace what's
That's it.
happening.
That's it.
And when one person don't embrace it, it can shift. But you got to know how to move around that thing. Like it's so hard. And the more kids and you have, I'm sure it's probably hard. We have two. We have a boy and a girl. Our daughter is 17. My son is 15. And so it was harder for our daughter because, I think it was just more so harder for her because I'm not her mom. And she always probably envisioned her mom and dad being together. So it was certain things I had to learn because I was like, damn, I never envisioned just not being embraced. Like I treat you well. I'm nice to you. I treat you like you're mine. I don't understand. So I had to learn just being patient with the whole situation. And like, listen, she's moving on a particular spectrum as well. And you got to understand what she's going through, because in her mind, I just wanted my mom and dad together. Mm-hmm. And now they're not together. And I got to learn how to deal with that at a young age. So yep. I think what happens is a lot of adults aren't patient enough to embrace what's happening with the kids.
Boy, that could be challenging with the kids.
Right. And because the kids see that the adult is not embracing it, the kid is like, shit,
I'm out too.
You ain't my mama. You ain't my daddy. Bye. But that's their reaction. And so now then you're going to react because it's like, now you're looking at your spouse because it's like, how you going to let your kid, I see this all the time and I'm so grateful.
You see what? You see what? How you going to let your kid do what? I need an example.
I see it a lot. I see it where people feud because they don't agree with how to parent. First of all, that's I think that when you're dating and both of y'all have children, you need to pay attention. Like, the sex is cool and all that kind of stuff. What you really need to be paying attention to is how they parent. Because those little small things, when y'all move in together and you live together,
they blow up.
Those are the things. Things that could make or break you. Because you're sitting up here like, how the hell you gonna let your kid do that? And then they looking at you like, well, how you gonna let your kid do that? Like I have one client, she just got a divorce because her and her husband couldn't agree on parenting. Like just as simple. And so it got to a point where they started competing with each other, with each other. Mm. And so it became miserable. And so it's like certain things like that when you're dating, that's what you need to pay attention to, those type of things. But, have fun. Like try to include each other. Try to remove the expectations and just try to be a family.
Okay, Dana, what's the name of your book? You didn't preach for a second. What's the name of your book?
It's a children's book, and it's Day into Tomorrow's Blended Family. And what it does is it teaches children that their perspective is not the only perspective, that parents also have a certain role that they have to play. And just trying to show children and teach children that, just like you may be hurting, I may be hurting.
Correct.
Just like your feelings may get hurt, mine get hurt, so that's what I do.
Yeah, I think what you just said, where you kind of ended, is really important because sometimes we can get caught up in how we feel in the situation. And we have to remember, yes, I do have feelings, but how is the child feeling? And then how do I manage both of them? Because one person's feelings don't override the others. But one of the things we also had to remind ourselves of is while we're going through something for the first time, our kids are going through it for the first time as well. And none of them asked to be in the situation that they're in. And so you just have to say, hey, who's going to be the more mature one in the situation? We're the adults and we need to act like adults. I think respect just becomes to be a big factor. When I was hearing you say, hey, how are you going to talk to, I'm not going to let you talk to my wife like that, or, don't talk to my kids that way. My husband would correct either of the kids. It didn't matter which one it was. He would be like, oh no, you're not talking to your mom that way because I don't talk to my wife like that. So you can't talk to her that way. And he just kind of set those clear boundaries up front. I think the parenting conversation is very important. And sometimes more important is how they were raised. Sometimes you don't pay attention to how your mate was raised. What were the norms in their household growing up? Because I had a set of norms and my husband had a different set of norms. So things that bothered him, I wasn't trying to discard his feelings, but I just had no even insight into them because they didn't matter in my household. And so sometimes you just have to have that real conversation of, well, nope, this is an expectation. Here is why it's an expectation. And I would often tell my kids, because I wanted them to understand, especially our girls, that when you think about being a mother and being a wife, sometimes the compromises you make, it's not to, downplay yourself, but sometimes you have to say, is what he's asking me to do going to harm me? Am I really giving up a piece of me to let him sit in this spot on the couch every day when he comes in? It's really hurting me to say when he walks through the door, give him 30 minutes before I bombard him with
There
all
you
of my
go.
issues. Like, you just have to take that moment to say, is it really going to hurt? But if we don't explain that to our girls, what they see is, oh, you're giving in to him. You're not standing up for yourself. You're letting him root. And you're like, wait a minute, that's not what this is about. And they're only seeing that because they've been told no about something they want,
I learned this from counseling because I used to always say, as long as all the adults kept the children first, that everything would be fine and healthy. And my counselor said, keeping the children first is important, but you also have to learn how to keep your marriages
So
first.
somebody has their volume up on one of their computers because they're getting a lot of feedback. Is somebody on the telephone or the computer?
Not me.
Okay, for some odd reason they're getting a lot of feedback. But go ahead, Dana.
Yeah, so he was like, there's a time where you have to keep your marriage first. It's important to keep the kids first, yes, when it comes to making certain decisions, but you have to keep your marriage first and then tend to the children.
All right,
Exactly, because guess what? I tell people our youngest is 13, and then we have a 19-year-old and two 24-year-olds. Those older kids, they're moving on with their life. They don't live at home anymore, and now it's me and him. So when they're all gone, it's just going to be me and him. And if we spent our entire lives not giving each other the attention we needed because of the kids, now what's going to be left? That's why you see so many couples, when the kids get to be adults and go away, the parents divorce because they realize we really don't have a marriage. We just had a relationship of convenience for the kids.
All right, I got another quick commercial break. Shout out to the Red Design. Shout out to the Red Design. You can look them up on Facebook. They make bracelets and everything else. Red Design is in the building, okay?
That's the first lady right there.
Yeah, that's the first lady.
I know, giving her some support.
I'm trying to give her some support. She wanted to call in, and I don't know if she got anything to say, but I'm gonna find out if she has something to say real quick. Impromptu call for her right now.
Uh-oh.
I know she's watching, but I don't know where the feedback is coming from, so I do apologize if you hear any echoing.
Hello.
How are you doing, Bernice?
I'm good.
We want to hear your feedback on the how to be a black man's wife.
Okay. What do you want me to? What exactly?
I want to know your feedback. How do you be a black man's wife?
Well, to be a black man's wife for me is to be that person that's his sounding board, his place of comfort, his place of nurturing, to be his biggest supporter, to be, to take on the weight of the world with him, to be his praying partner, his everything. That's how I'm being a wife.
That's how it is. All right. Well, thank you for chiming in. Did you see the red design shout out?
I did. Thank you, love.
All right.
Hey, Bernice.
Okay, one last thing. We're going to wrap it up. Is there anything anybody else wants to say before we get off this podcast that you want to make a contribution? I want to say thanks, Mike Green, because, boy, I remember before they got married, Dana came on one of the radio shows I was hosting. Sure. That was during a separation period, okay?
we broke up. We broke up before we got back together and got married.
And shortly after that radio broadcast, Mike reached out to me. Okay, I didn't know who that man was at that particular time.
Oh God, yeah, because we were friends and hanging out and chilling and going to sports bars and all that kind of stuff. So we was cool, but I want to leave with, I want to talk to the single ladies.
Oh, shucks. Hold on. This is going to be another 30 minutes.
Oh, okay. I thought,
No,
okay.
go ahead. You got the will.
I just, don't settle. Don't settle. If you have a particular standard, stick to it. As long as it's not unrealistic. Like, I understand that you have hope that you can get it, but don't settle. And during the dating process, have fun. Like, it's not a situation where, um, like when you meet him, could he possibly be the one? If he's not, so what? Like, have fun, enjoy the dating process, and date more than one person. But I'll let Latasha go ahead and.
All right, Tasha.
I mean, I can't disagree with any of the things that you said. I think about the fact that my husband and I are each other's best friend, and that comes from
Yes.
that dating process and really getting to know each other. It also helps that we've known each other since we were literally 12 and 13. So that plays a role in it. But I think when I think about just the advice I wish my parents, my grandparents would have imparted in me is not only just be his peace, but, respect is really big. And sometimes when we're emotional, it's hard to be respectful because you'll just say things out of the heat of the moment. But think about how to really be respectful at all times. And think about, I think your wife just said it, how to be his biggest supporter. A man doesn't need you to direct his every move and his every path. He does need you to support his dreams. He needs you to be that true helpmate. What he's lacking, he is expecting you to help him out in those areas. But what I've also learned is a man knows how to ask for the help that he needs. So don't overhelp. Don't become his mom. Be his wife. And, sometimes we can cross that boundary really quick because we think he needs to be told what to do. He's not doing it right. But if you have a real man, while he might make mistakes sometimes, he will be man enough to correct those mistakes. So give him that space to be the man that he needs to be. And then he'll give you the space to be the woman that you should be as well.
All right, that's good feedback. I think I want to get one more person on the phone. To get
Some of them need you to step in sometimes. I'm gonna just say that much.
They do, but you got to do it respectfully and in the
Because they
right
can't
way.
always find stuff and won't admit that they can't find it.
And don't get me on directions. They'll get you lost going anywhere.
Hey, the person that I'm calling, and she don't answer this phone, I'm going to say her name. I know she'll see me calling.
Say her name.
Shantae.
Come on, Shantae.
Okay, hold on. Mike want to say something. Mike, inbox me your number real quick, Mike. I don't have your number. Mike wants to say something.
Mike who?
Richardson.
Oh, okay.
She's like, he didn't clear this, not me.
Mike, inbox me your number real quick. I know you hear me. Mike, I think, is up in Denver somewhere. So he's probably going to have a political response.
We're not out of control.
Not at all. We've been well behaved.
I mean,
we didn't
really.
even talk about some of the good stuff like the bedroom, the other side of things, because you got to have fun in there too.
Oh, what type of fun you talking about?
Don't be scared.
I'm just saying, like a part of being a good.
Hold on, before y'all do it, let me run that commercial again before I get Mike on the phone.
Okay.
Hello, this is attorney Robert James of Robert James Trial Attorneys. If you or a loved one are injured in a car crash, there are 4 things that I want you to do. Number 1, call the police. It may sound really simple, but listen, guys. Police, they do investigations and they document the scene and they determine, most importantly, who is at fault. If you do not call the police, you're going to find yourself in a he said, she said, and that's not where you want to be. Number 2, do not talk to the other driver's insurance company. I repeat, do not talk to the other driver's insurance company. They will call you and ask for a statement. They will be very nice. They may even admit fault, but what they're really trying to do is figure out how not to pay you. Number 3, go to the doctor right away. Doctors don't just treat, but they document injuries. And if your injuries are not documented, you will not get paid. Number 4, call our firm, Robert James Trial Attorneys, at 404-891-0977. Or you can reach us online at attorneyrobertjames.com. Remember, in times of trouble, we stand with you. Robert James Trial Attorneys.
All right, these folks are so bougie. You know why Shantae didn't answer her phone? Please, these folks are so bougie. You know why she ain't answer her phone?
Why?
She couldn't find her AirPods. She could not find her
She
AirPods.
probably don't want her husband to hear what she got what's going on.
So
What's up? What's up, Miss Bougie?
I'm here. Hello.
How are you
Hey,
Hey
doing?
ladies.
girl.
You guys are holding it down. I love it.
That's right. That's right. I want your input. You know, you've been married for how long? About what? 5 years? 4 years? How long? 6 years?
4 years
4 years.
4 years working on five.
Okay. 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 I need your input, your intellectual input on how to be a black man's wife.
Well, with listening to everything that the ladies were saying, I mean, I agree with everything because there's just so many different perspectives, so many different situations. I came into marriage being a bonus mom. I have two sons who were not kids. They were already, late teens.
Yes.
So introducing a man into the household and them already being almost on their way out the house, it was it's
Challenging.
it's a challenge when you're trying to blend all these personalities and they're at an age to where they feel, I don't really need a father. I'm grown. He has kids. He had a daughter who was around Mason's age, so she's 21 now, and she didn't feel like she needed another mother because she has a mother. And, so we've had to go through all of those challenges, all of those conversations, learning how to communicate. The ladies were talking about just the ways and how you need to approach a conversation with your husband. It's so important. And kind of going along with Dana was talking about as far as for the single ladies, I know that when I was single, I wasn't really thinking, oh my God, I gotta get married. I gotta get married. I want to get married. There wasn't really this big panic for me because I had kids at such a young age. I was 19 and 21 when I had my kids. So when I got in my 30s, I was like, okay, it's fun time for me. My kids are a little bit older. I can go out. I can start having fun. But when I got to the point where dating in Atlanta was not fun for me anymore. I started to really settle myself to say, you know what, it's time for me to start focusing on being a wife because I know I have all of these amazing qualities and I know I have so much I can bring to the
Here
relationship.
we go.
And yeah, well, come on. I mean, women, especially the women right now who are in search of a husband, my advice would be read as many books as you can, talk to as many men as you can, get so many different perspectives from
Mm-hmm.
women who are married, men who are
Yes.
single, trying to be married. Just learn as much as you can by listening to people and take it all in because you never know the man that you're going to marry. You never know what his perspective is going to be about things. Like one of the ladies said, people change. When you get
Yeah.
married, when you start settling into a lifestyle, when you have to start combining each other's separate lives, things change. So you want to have these conversations and read as many books as you can,
True.
listen to as
True.
many podcasts as you can. Try to
Mm-hmm.
equip yourself and learn what it means to be a wife, what it means to be a husband,
Yeah.
and don't be afraid to have those conversations. I know that that's kind
Mm-hmm.
of controversial. A lot of women say, well, I don't want to scare him off, so I'm not going to talk about, marriage or things that he's looking for. I never shied away from those kind of conversations
Yes.
because even in
Yes.
the dating stage, you want to know who you're dating. You want to know if you're
Yes, you
wasting
do.
your time. You want to know if you just need to put them in the fun category or if you need to put them in the category of somebody who you really want to take serious and then
Yeah.
start approaching the dating process based off of the feedback that you're getting from the person that you're dating.
Mm-hmm.
So we could talk about this for like hours and
Yeah,
hours, but I'm
Shantae,
just
we're gonna
telling
put
you.
you on the show one day, and in the future, I plan on getting the couples that's been in a relationship for a long time, like
Yeah.
Sydney, Cedric,
Mhm.
people I've known
Mm-hmm.
that's been dating for years and their marriage is still
Mhm.
flourishing. They're,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you see them posting photos as if they're still in the dating stage and
Yeah.
haven't been
Yeah.
married yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I'm gonna say, if I can say real quick, one of the things because I follow Dana, one of the things I love about Dana and Michael's relationship is that, and I understand that in some things, you may say, well, I don't want to put this out there. We don't
Put
need
it
to
out
talk
there.
about this, but I love
Yeah.
how transparent they were. I used to
Yeah.
look at their posts and just be like, this is fantastic. I mean, it's amazing because it's real. It's real.
Yeah,
life.
we had some times where we got into an argument and deleted each other as friends on Facebook.
I've done that. Me and
And,
Bernice have done that.
and
Bernice
then
is
somebody
infamous for deleting me.
look, and then somebody hit me up and was like, I
Yeah.
tried to tag you and Mike, but for some reason I was like, we ain't friends right now.
Yeah. And it happens. We all have our
People
moments.
need to know it happened.
Yeah, but it happens. We
They
all have
need
our
to know it
moments.
happened.
No relationship is perfect. I
Absolutely.
can tell you that. No marriage is perfect.
It's not.
Yeah.
And
That's
look
real
at them
life.
now.
That's
They're
real.
on the other side of it. You know what I mean? So people need to see that as so because even in my marriage, when I start going through things, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm looking at Dana's post, and I'm looking at, oh, okay. Her and Mike are doing good. We gonna be all right. We gonna be all right.
We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it.
We all gonna make it. All of us gonna
Yes.
make
We
it.
gonna make it.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Shantae, for calling in.
Thank
Let me
you.
get
Great
Michael.
show, everyone.
Michael's up in Denver. I don't know what he's gonna say. Oh my God. This is gonna be an impromptu surprise right here. I can tell you that. Mike usually bashes me on my page. Once again, don't forget to go to the YouTube channel, like this show, and subscribe. It helps me continue to put more content like this out.
Yeah, this is Michael.
Mike, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Red?
You wanted to chime in. You are like unpredictable. What's
Hey, all I wanted to say is this.
Yes.
I've been married twice. This is my second marriage, and I've been with this woman 11, 12 years altogether. The most important thing to me in a marriage is you have to like the person you with. You can love anybody, but if you don't like the person you with and spend time with them and date them like you did from day one, you're never going to have longevity with that.
Okay.
That's all I got to say.
All right. Well, thanks a lot,
And
Mike. Where you calling
quarantine
from?
will teach you if you really like a person or not.
Oh, yes, it will.
Where you calling from again, Mike?
Oh, I'm in Denver,
I
Colorado.
thought it was Denver. That's what I said. All right. Smoke one for me, okay?
Ooh.
I don't smoke. I don't smoke, man.
All right. Bye-bye.
What's the point of going to Denver? I'm sorry. Okay,
All
another
right,
topic.
thank you, ladies. Thank you, Tasha, you know what I mean, for the topic. Thank you, Dana, for the transparency. Since I've known you 2003, you just been the same, okay? You've been the same. Tell the people goodbye.
Have a good night, everyone. I enjoyed it.
I feel like we got some more stuff to cover.
Yeah, I feel
but-
like we gotta
Unfinished
have a part
business.
two.
Okay. We got a part two.
Yes.
What's the part two going to be about before we get off? See y'all.
We can
Talk
do
about
more on
unfinished.
blended families. We can do more about,
You,
keeping it spicy in the bedroom.
the broken child support system,
I
of
think
course,
it's about,
somebody
I think
said.
it's
Oh,
about
yeah. The broken child
choosing-
support system, I can definitely preach on that
Woo.
one, but that's a whole nother topic.
Man, we ain't got that problem.
Now, what were we going to say, Dana?
Ladies choosing the right person to marry.
Not, well, sometimes people put
Because
on a
our
persona.
pickers, a lot of our pickers be off. The ladies' pickers be real off. We pick guys for the wrong reasons.
And that's financially, right?
Absolutely.
No.
What?
Sometimes it's
bling.
the eggplant.
For the bling. Guys, we putting on that front for a reason, okay?
Keep it real. Keep it real.
Yeah,
All right,
yes.
all right.
yes.
Thank you, ladies. Talk to you later. Thank you, Facebook. Make sure
Thank
you
you,
subscribe
guys.
to Mr. He
It
Got
was
Game
great. It
YouTube
was
channel
great.
and like it. Mr. He Got Game YouTube channel, like it and subscribe, okay? See you later.
Bye.
Have a good one.